and welcome back to Inside a Teen's Mind, Episode 3. I am Little I, or Li for short, and thank you guys so much for coming back to listen to my third episode. I'm so happy that you made it here and the last episode did not scare you off. So last time I talked about psychology and what it is, why it is important, and 12 different types of psychology. I think a tip for beginners trying to understand psychology is reading. Reading about psychology. There are a lot of great books out there that are beginner friendly and digs into this field pretty deep. It could be time consuming, but it is definitely worth it. If you don't like reading or you don't have the time to, you can listen to my podcast. I will read and try my best to summarize psychology-related books. You can listen to my podcast for a quick overview of the book, and I will point out some interesting ideas or thoughts I have. So, on to today's big topic. I want to discuss the book called Counselling for Toads, a Psychological Adventure. This book is written by Robert Daybord, an author from the UK in 1997. You might have heard about this book before, you might not, but this is one of the first books I read that is psychology related. It is not too scientific so that you can't understand it, which makes it fun to read. Plus, the story is, I would say, fast-paced and pretty short, so it is not boring like reading a textbook. Now, the story mostly focuses on counseling, as you can tell from the title. So if you are not interested in the counseling part of psychology, maybe you want to try a different book. I personally like to learn about counseling, so it was a fun and warm read for me. It ties psychology with the story about Toad, who is depressed. He was having a rough time, feeling empty, hopeless, and unlike himself. His friends were shocked, as they always thought Toad was a reckless guy and always full of energy. They encouraged him to go to the counselor Huron, so there they begin their first counseling therapy session. In the book, they met for a total of 10 sessions, during which they had light and difficult times while exploring the inside of Toad. Through the counseling process, Toad learned the importance of seeking help, self-reflection, and self-awareness. I recommend you guys to read it. This is also an awesome book for people who are going through some rough times, people who are hesitating on whether or not to go see a counselor. And here's a point. I think the book is great for people who want a counseling session but are too afraid. Either they don't know how it works or they don't want to express themselves. In this book, you can see how it all works, and it is quite different from what you might imagine. It's not like an interview where the manager or whoever keeps on asking you questions, making you feel overwhelmed or causing you anxiety. It's not like the teacher is making you give a 5-minute presentation in front of the whole class about a topic that you don't even care about. It's like talking to a friend, and everything you say they embrace, and it stays between you two. You don't have to worry about anything, just be yourself. In the book, counseling was an unknown mystery for all the characters. They didn't know if it was a scam or it was a creepy old monster, but Toad still went. And I don't want to spoil anymore, but I do want to share a quote from the book that I really like. It goes like this: "Counseling is always a voluntary process, both for the counselor and for the client. That means we can only work together if you want to do this for your own sake and not just to please your friends. If we agree to work together, we need to make a contract, and then, at the completion of our work, I would send my invoice to you. You see, it's not a question of money, but this can only be your responsibility and no one else's. Now don't worry, This was a quote from the first few pages of the book, basically just Huron explaining to Toad, so I did not give away a whole lot. But I'm sure this is a quote that a lot of people can relate to. You might go because your parents told you to, or your friends, your teacher, whoever, but the only way you can improve is yourself. No one else can help you besides you. I think that this is a very important quote that ties the entire story together, which is true that it would be hard, but it is what needs to be done. That's all I'm going to say for this book because I already spoiled a whole lot, and I really encourage you guys to read this book, and I really liked it. If you are going to read it, or if you already read it and want to share your thoughts on it, please leave a comment or fill out my Google form, and I would love to hear it. You can get this book on Amazon, eBay, wherever, at the library maybe. Alrighty, next up, because this would be my first monthly chat with my book recommendation, I want to have a little chill talk. In this episode, I want to talk about why I made this podcast. Of course, there are a lot of awesome psychology podcasts out there, and when you search for psychology podcasts, I'm not the first one to pop up, but that's not what I care about. But what I do care about is I want to learn by exploring by myself and encourage myself to learn further on this journey. I want to say that the start of this podcast is because of another podcast. This is a Taiwanese podcast channel, and I really enjoyed it. It is a Taiwanese couple just talking about their most realistic experiences. They have many episodes, so you guys can listen to it if you guys would like, but keep in mind that they speak Mandarin and Taiwanese sometimes, so I don't know if you guys would understand, but I would put the link to their first episode down below. I will listen to it while doing chores or even having it when I go to sleep. And that's when I knew that a podcast can have so much impact on a person's life. And I wanted to make that impact as well. For setting the topic of the podcast, I wanted to tie into a topic that I'm really interested in and also a topic that I can learn a lot from. To me, I'm a big fan of music stuff, singing, and many others. But psychology is my, I want to say, favorite. I have always thought that I want to bring entertainment while learning, both myself and my listeners. Plus, as a kid, I always loved to film videos, and later on, I enjoy editing them. So this is something that I really enjoy as a whole. And maybe you don't want to know about psychology or that YouTube just recommended my videos on your page, but I want to reach out to everyone, and I think psychology is something that people should know more about. My listeners are also one of my big motives, not just seeing the listener number going up, but also when you guys listen to my podcast and that really helped you, or you heard something that you didn't know before, or even just accidentally clicking into one of my podcasts, I am really thankful and happy that you are here or you were here. And maybe a question that you guys wonder is, how did I get my name? I know it may sound a little cringe, but that is also kind of why I want to explain it. First of all, little I or Li is not my actual name, of course. And I have two reasons why that is my name here. One is that my name, my actual name, starts with an I, so I wanted my nickname to have something to do with me. And two, which is my biggest reason, is that I relates to self, like I am. So this podcast is about me and my perspectives, my experiences, and my learning process. Little because I am just a young teen, but I have big thoughts and big questions for us to explore together. Now, I'll explain how I got the name inside a teen's mind. Before this name, I actually thought about many different names, and I have a whole list. Some were mind over matter, thinking out loud, Teens Brain Chat, Psychology Through the Eyes of a Teen, Teen Psychology Hour, and the list goes on and on and on, probably like 20 more. But lastly, I chose Inside a Teen's Mind. First, because I think this one matches the core of my podcast. And second, because this podcast discovers some real questions that I have in my mind. And through my thoughts and exploration, I invite you guys to join me too. And that is how I got the podcast name and my nickname. If there are any other questions you want to ask me, as I said earlier, you can leave a comment or fill out my Google form. Now you can listen to my full episode on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Podbean. And I would also post many highlights of my episode on Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit. So those are the other ways you can find my episodes online. I also have the official website and the visual website of this podcast, and I would put the links down below in the comment section. And just for the people who are interested, I created an online psychology club on Instagram called PsychSpot. So if you're interested in it, I really encourage you guys to join me. And we would do things like discovering psychology topics, fact sharing, discussions, projects, and many other things. You can also find the information of PsychSpot on my official websites, visual websites, TikTok, Reddit, and I will have everything set up. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like or follow and share with other people. Keep up with my next episode, and thank you for being with me here today at Inside a Teen's Mind. I will see you guys at my next Real Talk from a Real Teen's Mind. Bye!